We lived one block away from each other, and the breweries were on the corner of Rain and McCallum Avenue. I would often drop into their house because it was so much fun. There was always one of the kids at home to engage with, or watch Betty in the kitchen and have a little chat. It was my second home. My favorite years growing up were at Lake Catawba, where we spent our summers and holidays. Barbie stayed with us several times for a couple of weeks during the summers. It was around that time that Brenda was born and Brent the following year. Dad was Brenda's godfather and Mom was Brent's godmother. That meant we were extended family, always and forever. At age 13, Betty gave me my first job. I had the pleasure of babysitting Brenda. She was just over a year old, gorgeous and good-natured, with a very inquisitive mind. You could just see the wheels turning, constantly watching her older siblings. We had lots of fun, playing outside or inside with her stuffed animals and dolls in our imaginary world. Or just cuddling together with a picture book and Pushki, the cat. Brenda had the most beautiful, thick auburn hair and beautiful brown eyes. Brenda's braids were her signature. Mom taught Betty how to braid Brenda's hair. She had lots of practice braiding her own hair. People would comment about Brenda. Oh, is that the little girl with braids? When Barbie turned 11 years old, she joined Regina and I at the Regina Pony Club. Brenda followed in Barbie's footsteps and became an outstanding rider. This was also a time when Tommy Douglas was pushing Medicare into a reality. Many doctors left the province. That's when Regina and I went to boarding school on Vancouver Island. Brother Dave was already at BBC. Mom and Dad came out 2 years later and settled in West Vancouver. That was 1965. Brenda reconnected a number of years later with the equestrian sport, spending time in Alberta and England. When Betty and staff came to visit, Betty would bring a shoebox full of her famous chocolate chip cookies. Our eyes just bulged. Out of all of the Rudy siblings, Brenda stole the show and won the prize for making them just like her mothers. Maybe even better. Brenda had a twin brother, Ron, who passed away shortly after birth. We honor them both, Brenda and Ron, and may they be reunited once again with Betty and staff close by their side. We are blessed to be surrounded by them from both families. Thank you.
There were some folks that are not here today that did take the time and wanted to share their memories. So they sent a video, and we have a short reel right now of video messages that were sent to us to share with you before we move on to the next speaker.
Hi, this is Alita Visbach. I wish I could be there with family and friends of Brenda as you celebrate her life today, but unfortunately, we are out of the province at the moment. I wanted to send my condolences to the family of Brenda and to everyone who she held near and dear. She is going to be missed. She's missed every day already. 16 years ago when I came to Calgary, Brenda was on the board of directors of Heritage Park. She was my mentor. She taught me everything political. I will always be grateful to Brenda for all that she's done, not just for me, but for Heritage Park and the community at large. I miss her, and may her spirit live on in all of us.
It's an honor to speak at the celebration of life for Brenda today, because her life is one that should be celebrated. I've knew Brenda for a number of years, both at the Calgary Health Region and afterwards, and we worked together both at the region and on other projects after we left the region. She was always full of energy, positive attitudes, and solutions, so she was a pleasure to work with. She had a sense of humor, could always find something that was somewhat humorous in situations that even were a little bit bleak from time to time. As I was from Regina, Brenda and I bonded because we both had Saskatchewan roots, and it's hard to find people with Saskatchewan roots sometimes in Alberta. So we worked together on a number of things that had to do with Saskatchewan, and I found that very, very enjoyable. Truly miss Brenda because we don't have that many people that are so positive and provide such energy. In Brenda's world, it was always about how could she help and what could she do for you. It was very, very seldom about what could be done for her. So she was just spectacular that way. Joanne and I enjoyed all the time we spent with Brenda down in the Palm Desert area. We would see her from time to time when we were down there. And Joanne and I are going to miss seeing her there for sure, because she certainly added a lot of energy and vibrance to that experience there. So it's in some ways a sad day, but in some ways we get to reflect on the positive things that she brought to all of us. And as I say, on behalf of Joanne and I, we certainly believe that Brenda's life was one worth celebrating. We loved her and we'll think about her as long as we are still here to reflect on things. Thank you.
This message is a virtual hug for all Barudises, and it's a message of love and thanks, especially for Brenda. Love and thanks for the privilege of knowing her, of talking politics with her non-stop, and above all, laughing with her for years. For most of my life, in fact. Our families, the Barudises and the Duncans, intertwined as our dads established and built their medical practices in Regina. And we kids intertwined as we grew up just a few blocks apart. And we stayed intertwined, even as your mom, Betty, and our dad, Barry, spent their late-in-life years at the same care facility in Calgary. Your mom on the ground floor, and our dad one floor up. I was lucky. Brenda and I reconnected in Calgary. We were in kind of similar businesses, political of course, and we maintained the connection after I moved to Vancouver. In fact, the last time we got together was over lunch in Vancouver. We talked politics, surprise, surprise, party politics, industry politics, and who we wanted and we were choosing to lead the country. We laughed, we drank wine, we told ourselves how the politicians should start listening to us, and we talked some more. We talked and laughed through lunch, through the afternoon, through happy hour. Finally, realizing the restaurant needed to make a little money from our table, we ordered dinner and we just kept talking. I asked my brothers and sisters, we Duncan kids, what they remembered most about Brenda. One word kept coming up, gracious. She was always gracious, no matter what chaos was happening around her. Always classy. And my sister Jean, by the way, wanted me to make sure and remind you all how beautifully Brenda could gift wrap anything. So Barudis, here is a virtual hug from all the Duncan Sibs. There's Barb, Peter, Jeannie, Bruce, and that's me. And Brenda, thanks for being you. You are very, very much missed.
Hi everyone, my name's Jeff Sturzik and I'm an old friend of Brenda's. Brenda and I first met probably in the late 80s, early 90s, some 30 years ago in Regina. And over the years, both of us at different times ended up in Calgary. And Brenda and I reconnected, working together or volunteering together on a dinner committee in Calgary. And this dinner committee was made up predominantly of Saskatchewan expats. And at the same time, and this was in the early 2000s, we started a tradition of what Brenda coined and fondly referred to as the Saskatchewan Expat Ex-Hack Pub Nights. And these pub nights would happen once or twice a year, sometimes at Christmas, sometimes in the summer on a patio someplace. And wherever they were and whenever they were, it was a great opportunity to reconnect with fellow Saskatchewanians, to talk about the Rough Riders, to talk about and debate politics, and just generally reconnect, but also to connect to new friends from every corner and every small town and city in Saskatchewan. And in the future, we're going to continue the tradition of these expat ex-hack pub nights. And although Brenda won't be able to be there with us in person, we know she's going to be there in spirit. And every year, we're going to raise a glass and toast the memory of our good friend and our dear friend, Brenda Barutis.
Good afternoon. I'm Rob Pankhurst, and thank you for the opportunity to share a message with you about Brenda. If I had to think about Brenda in one sentence or phrase, it would be outside the box. Brenda always encouraged me to think about things from a different perspective, to pursue alternate paths, to take the road less traveled. That is the Brenda that I know. In addition, as I think many of you know, Brenda had a ready laugh, was always available for a phone call to provide guidance or counsel, or even sometimes just to listen. And so I'm so grateful for that. And frankly, I think Canada, the prairies in Canada are better for her service and her presence. And so may she be resting with the angels. Thank you so much.